What's going on, guys? It's the Brick Duo. We have another list for you guys today. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 most difficult Lego sets to build. And this one's an interesting one because for me, Lego sets is really about the build experience. So should be an interesting top 5 list today. I'm going to go ahead and start off with number 5.
Yeah, number 5 is going to be the most recent UCS Millennium Falcon. This one had over 7,000 pieces, just a huge set, tons of greebling, and that's what really made it hard, the greebling. When you're building for that long, 20 plus hours, you just start to get lazy, and to be honest, you start missing pieces and bags. Because, normally when you build a set, you sort of just look at what pieces are highlighted, and you sort of just pluck them from the piles one at a time. I had to really make sure that I took all the pieces I needed for each step in the upper left-hand corner before I actually started putting them on. That way I wouldn't miss any pieces, because otherwise I noticed, you get bag 8 or something like that, you're halfway through this build and it looks like you got nothing done, and you start having pieces left over that you shouldn't have left over, and you have to go back and figure it out. So I would just say, for the sheer size of that set and the amount of greebling, you just have to pay really close attention when building it. The instructions are good, but you have to pay really close attention. And yeah, I would just recommend pulling all the pieces before you start each step. So moving on to number 4.
Number 4, we have the Lego Porsche GT3 RS Technic build, and this is a set that I was super excited for. I'm personally a big fan of Technic. Just it's more technical, and it's a little bit more of a difficult build, and usually has more of an adult sort of feel when you're building the set. So when this set was announced, I was super excited for it. It had a really high price point though, at $300, which is kind of a tough pill to swallow, but with the box you get, the instructions you get, and just the build process was awesome. I will say though that you have to pay attention to when you're building this. I know you've probably heard people say this, but if you make a mistake, it can be very difficult to go back and fix it. And I think I maybe made maybe one mistake in the entire set. And yeah, you have to take it apart and fix it. And to me, that's almost kind of the fun. It's a newer Lego set, so the instructions are very clear. You just have to stay focused and make sure you don't miss anything crucial, or you're gonna have to go back, take it apart, and fix the set. But that's an awesome set and a difficult build, but it's a fun one.
So number 3, we're going to go with the 2007 Eiffel Tower. We've talked about this one before, and so the way this build goes is it's split up into 3 sections. You have the base, the mid section, and then the upper section. The base section is what is really hard, because you're building on a really 45-degree angle, and just with the building techniques and the pieces you use, you sort of just stack on bricks that are very loosely connected until you really have everything together. And if you just press down too hard, you can really just crush the section. And yeah, it makes it a bit of a challenging build, especially for that first base. And if you don't really have the patience for that, if you don't really have the delicate hands for that, you can sort of make a mistake and crush part of your build and have to go back and fix it. So that first base, that's what makes it really challenging, and that's why we have that at number 3.
And number 2, we've talked about it before. This is one of our favorite Lego sets, and we finally got it last year. This is the Lego Imperial Star Destroyer set 10030. This is the old one, and this set is a tricky one to build. Basically, all the panels are connected with magnets, which is a super interesting build technique, and it works. It works pretty well, but it's very difficult to put on the panels because they're heavy, and get the magnets in the right place and for them to line up to look correctly. But this was obviously a fun build for us that we were excited for. And when you're done, it looks amazing. It's just you have to take your time with those magnets, and they don't even use magnets anymore, especially on the new Star Destroyer I saw. So it's kind of like an older technique, and if you haven't used magnets before, then it can be a little bit tricky. But that's an awesome build. So we're gonna go ahead and go to number 1 now, and for number 1 we have the Lego UCS Yoda, and this isn't the new one that just came out. This is the older one. This is set 7194, and this is one of my favorite sets. I just love the way Yoda looks just sitting on my desk. But the reason why this one is a difficult build isn't because the build techniques or anything like that. It's just the instructions. Basically, the instructions are a bird's eye view. So you're above, and you just build it layer by layer. And it can be tricky because sometimes you can't see the layer below it. And it's just a difficult build. You can see by the picture we put in here, it can be difficult when you're looking at that for so long and trying to differentiate colors or what the layer you're actually working on is. But I know when I was building it, I definitely made a couple mistakes, but you can work through it, and you can even just like look on the outside of the box or something like that if you're really confused, because it's pretty obvious if you have a brick in the wrong place. But that was definitely the most challenging build, just because Lego made the instructions pretty difficult to follow. But that's kind of some of the fun, I think, is difficult instructions, a difficult build. And I know when I was younger, and even now, I like crave a really difficult Lego build. And Lego isn't really supposed to be that difficult. All you have to do is follow the instructions. But it's always fun to have something that challenges you a little bit.